Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Phil's Monday Movie Review. Thanks for tuning in, and real quick, before we get started on the review, I just want to take a quick minute and give a shout out to everybody who reached out via text message, social media, everyone who checked up on me because of my last video. Everything's fine, everything's cool so far. Nothing crazy has happened. I'm okay right now. Everything's all fine on this end. How are you? I appreciate all the concerns, questions, comments, all that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a video. My last video is right there. It's a crazy situation. And Terry Lane, if you are watching this, I haven't forgotten about you, buddy. So I have one message for you, and it's right here.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
All right. Now that we've got all that situated, let's get to the review. On today's Phil's Monday Movie Review, we are discussing The Matrix. Directed by the Wachowskis, this movie came out in 1999. And what can I say about The Matrix that hasn't already been said about The Matrix? The Matrix tells a story about a computer hacker named Neo, and he's not very self-fulfilled. He's just a very regular guy, and he comes across a guy named Morpheus. Morpheus believes that Neo is this Christ-like figure who's going to save the world, the real world, and he breaks it down too. Morpheus tells him the truth about the world that we live in. The world that we live in is not real. It's a computer-generated system made by the machines who are pretty much the antagonist of the story. So basically, everything you see, taste, touch is not real. Everything, our world is in a simulation. Morpheus tells him straight up, like, hey, if you come with me, I will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. And Neo gets a rude awakening, and he sees that the year is no longer 1999. The year is more 2199. And there is a war going on between human beings and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence that was created by man. So in this world, the Matrix, they go into the Matrix and they get information. They find ways to overcome this battle against the machines. So I'll just leave it at that. So I rewatched The Matrix over the weekend, and I haven't seen The Matrix in years. I remember when it came out, it was revolutionary. It sparked so many ideas, and it sparked so many other ripoffs in the past. I remember that Jet Li movie. What was it called? The One? And it had that bullet time camera movement, all that stuff. Okay. And also, I think I was like 12, and I started really getting into movies at this time. I remember I had my mom's video camera, and I started making my own Matrix ripoff movies. They're very cringe to watch, and I don't know if I can find them. They might be in my mom's garage, and if I do find them, I promise you I will upload them on YouTube so you can see my terrible Matrix fan movies that I made when I was like 12 or 13 years old. But yeah, The Matrix played a huge part in my film-loving experience at the time. The Matrix was one of my favorite movies because it had, the action was insane. I love the action. I really did like the action. I was already a fan of Keanu Reeves. I still am. I love Keanu Reeves. The cool thing about The Matrix at the time was the one-liners like, pay no attention to these hypocrites, Neo, or I'm going to enjoy watching you die, Mr. Anderson. Stuff like that. But now, fast forward to 20 years later. Now, I'm an adult now. The Matrix is now on HBO. I watched it last weekend. Does it hold up? Yes, absolutely. It still holds up. I enjoy the hell out of this movie. This movie still holds up because they are touching up on subjects that we are currently seeing now in the future. The movie came out in 1999. It's basically a war between humans and artificial intelligence, and that's currently not happening at all right now. AI, that's not happening right now. Artificial intelligence, come on. We're not going to see that for another 50, maybe 100 years. Yeah, we're screwed. We're so screwed. The whole idea that the world that we live in right now is in a simulation, is a computer-generated program that's making us believe that we are living our own lives, that had me thinking. When I got introduced to that concept when I was a kid, I really started questioning reality. I really started questioning. 13-year-old Phill was like, what if this really is the Matrix? What if this isn't a simulation? That movie really had me thinking when I was a kid. And of course, like as an adult, I could easily think those kind of ideas now too, right? But I don't know. I don't think we're in a simulation. This, unfortunately, is the real world that we're living in right now. I'm getting all nostalgic now, thinking about my first time watching The Matrix. I was so in love with The Matrix that I clearly remember my parents getting our first PC computer. I forgot the make and model of it, but I do remember that the screensaver was automatically those Matrix scrolls codes that you would see in the movie. If you were a Matrix fan in the early 2000s, that had to have been your screensaver. That was everybody's screensaver right there. Fun fact, The Matrix was my very first DVD I ever owned. I don't know if you remember the first DVD you own, but I do. For some reason, I remember my first DVD. And I remember my parents were making the transition from VHS to DVD. Oh man, I'm really showing my age here. I was like, oh, we got a DVD player. Nice, awesome. I was like, and I talked my parents into buying The Matrix, which I think I still have, by the way. When we were introduced to special features, I was like, what? So you can watch the making of the movie too? What is this concept? So like, preteen me was blown away by how they made specific scenes in The Matrix. The bullet time sequence was all in green screen, and you have all these cameras around the actors, and they were all just frames lined up in a circular motion, and that's how you got the bullet time 360 effect in The Matrix. And at the time, that idea was just brand new, and it just blew everybody, including me, away. Aside from the religious metaphors and all the commentary that's placed on about control, the lack of control. In one part of the movie, Morpheus even asks Neo, do you believe in fate? And Neo says no. And Morpheus says, okay, well, why not? Neo says, because I don't like the fact that I don't have control of my own life. And that, to me, kind of hit me the hardest. I think the Wachowskis were nerds. The Wachowskis loved their anime. I remember watching interviews with them, and they clearly said that they were heavily influenced by films like Akira, and they're really big on anime. And they're big on cyberpunk, neopunk, all that stuff. That vibe is clearly evident in the Matrix films. Aside from the amazing fight scenes that still hold up, the wire work, the old school kung fu choreography that you see in the movies, and aside from the awesome action scenes that you see in the movie, aside from all of that, you are left with a very original film that lets you question your morals, it lets you question your reality. That's insane. At the idea 20 years ago, questioning your reality was a concept that I don't think a lot of us did back then. Of course, unless you're doing like some psychedelics or something back in the 90s, then yeah, of course. But if you weren't doing psychedelics in the 90s, then I think The Matrix was that one movie that made you question your reality. Long story short, The Matrix is essentially an MMO, which stands for, a massively multiplayer online video game. I had to look that up because I never knew what that stood for. We didn't question our realities a whole lot back in the 90s, I imagine, but I think this movie really blossomed new ideas for future writers, creatives, future, world builders out there. Video game developers, storytellers, filmmakers out there. I think The Matrix was a pioneer for a lot of things that are probably still have yet to come, and we just don't know it yet. There's probably a 14-year-old kid right now who is watching The Matrix on HBO Max, and they're just like, holy crap, oh, that just sparked a whole bunch of new wires in my brain that I'm just going to start developing now. Aside from all of that, you're left with a very, very well-structured story. I think Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith is one of cinema's most iconic villains. Agent Smith is just incredible. Like, I think The Matrix put Hugo Weaving on the map. And of course, Keanu Reeves was made for this movie. I've heard that Will Smith was originally set to play Neo, but he turned down The Matrix to do Wild Wild West. And man, I gotta say, thank you, Will Smith, for doing that, because I feel like Keanu was perfect for Neo. And Lawrence Fishburne is incredible. Like, I think this is one of my favorite roles Lawrence Fishburne has ever done. Carrie-Anne Moss is incredible as well. I want to take some time and talk about how revolutionary and what a trailblazing movie The Matrix was at the time. Okay, because when The Matrix came out, after that, almost every action movie at the time had the hero dressed in all black with a long black trench coat and sunglasses and cool hair, techno music, machine guns. Almost every action movie pretty much essentially ripped off The Matrix. And the story, man, the story, the structure, the script. I heard the Wachowskis developed a really well written script that it's almost novel-like. It's like if you're reading a Tolkien story, which I love. That just shows me how invested the Wachowskis were in the world that they're building. They are literally world builders with The Matrix. And it's not just the story that the Wachowskis gave us, not the original story. They even gave us like an original style of filmmaking. That amazing scene where Neo dodges the bullets. He's bending over backwards and the camera's rotating and like the bullets are passing right by him. At the time, we never seen anything like that before. I can only imagine being my age right now in 1999 at a movie theater watching that. I would have been blown away by that. I was blown away as a kid. I still am. I watched it just last night and I'm like, dude, that scene is still awesome. And they did that a couple times throughout the movie. Whew. All right. I'm getting like really nerdy with this review now. I should probably wrap this up. The kung fu, the metaphors, the religious metaphors, the idea and the philosophies that are introduced in this movie, all in all, has me thinking that The Matrix is not just one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. In my opinion, The Matrix is one of the greatest films of all time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going that far. The Matrix has always been in one of my top 10 favorite films of like all time. The Matrix, after watching it, it's been a few years since I've seen The Matrix, but after watching it over the weekend, it's still in my top 10. It's cinema at its core. And of course, The Matrix is going to get an easy 5 out of 5. Shit, if I can go beyond 5, I'd give it a 7 out of 5. It sparks ideas in my mind. As a filmmaker, that just gives me like more influence and it gives me more motivation to someday build my own world. And I got to thank the Wachowskis for that. So, The Matrix, have you seen it? If not, please, I would highly recommend it. Go watch it. It's not just a sci-fi film. It's a very thought-provoking film. But if you have seen The Matrix, I would like to know, what do you think about the movie? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation about it. Maybe you like The Matrix, but you don't like it as much as I like it, because I really fucking love that movie. And that is it for Phil's Monday movie review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the love that you guys have been showing for the channel. If you like this video, please give me one of these. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. But that's it. Enjoy the rest of your week, and be on the lookout for more Monday movie reviews coming up soon. And I will hope to see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.